Stepping up to a cafe counter in a new place is rarely just about buying a cup of coffee.
That sounds slightly dramatic, Laura, but I suspect you are referring to the hidden performance that happens before any caffeine actually changes hands.
Exactly. At first glance, it appears to be a basic commercial transaction. You ask for a drink, pay money, and walk away. But on closer examination, ordering at a cafe for the first time is actually a high-stakes lesson in unspoken social scripts and cultural belonging. Welcome to Late Night Insightful English, where we explore the subtle mechanics of human connection through advanced English shadowing. Tonight, we are examining why entering a new space can feel surprisingly intimidating and how master language learners navigate those delicate moments with poise.
It is fascinating how a menu board, which ought to be a helpful guide, can so easily turn into a wall of psychological friction. You stand in line, watching the rhythm of the room, desperately trying to decode the local dialect before it is your turn to speak.
Precisely. I remember standing in a bustling subterranean coffee shop in Edinburgh years ago. The ambient noise was a gentle roar of grinding beans, clattering ceramic cups, and the low hum of muffled conversations. I knew the language, of course, but the sheer pace of the interaction caught me completely off guard. The barista asked, "Batch brew or pour over?" with an expectation of instant clarity. In that split second, my mind went completely blank.
That brings up a fascinating point. The anxiety does not stem from a lack of vocabulary. Rather, it arises from the fear of interrupting the established momentum of the environment. We dread being perceived as an outsider who slows down the invisible conveyor belt of modern life.
I see it somewhat differently, Thomas. It is less about efficiency and more about our deep-seated desire for social integration. When we enter a new cafe, we are not merely purchasing a beverage. We are attempting to project a subtle sense of competence. We want to demonstrate that we understand the rhythm, the etiquette, and the tacit rules of that specific space.
That argument rests on the assumption that everyone in the queue is paying attention to your performance. In reality, most people are entirely absorbed in their own thoughts, scrolling on their phones, or simply waiting for their morning caffeine fix. I am not entirely persuaded that the pressure is as external as you make it sound. What concerns me is that we often project our internal uncertainty onto total strangers.
That may be true in principle, but the physical sensation of hesitation remains very real. There is a distinction worth making here between cognitive preparation and reflexive performance. Cognitive preparation is when you mentally rehearse every word of your order before reaching the register. Reflexive performance, on the other hand, is the ability to adapt seamlessly to whatever response the barista throws at you without losing your composure.
That is a crucial distinction. When you rely too heavily on a rigid internal script, any minor deviation, such as a question about milk alternatives or single-origin beans, can throw you entirely off balance. The issue is more nuanced than it appears, because true fluency lives in the space between preparation and improvisation.
Here is our first golden sentence. Navigating an unfamiliar social script requires us to balance deliberate linguistic preparation with an adaptable, calm presence.
There is an important idea inside that sentence. Notice how it frames confidence, not as flawless execution, but as the capacity to stay composed when the interaction strays from your expectations.
Let us break this sentence down for advanced shadowing. Listen carefully to the rhythm and phrasing. First thought group. Navigating an unfamiliar social script. Repeat that softly to yourself. Navigating an unfamiliar social script. Notice the smooth connection between words. Second thought group. Requires us to balance deliberate linguistic preparation. Repeat. Requires us to balance deliberate linguistic preparation. Final thought group. With an adaptable, calm presence. Repeat. With an adaptable, calm presence. Now, let us rebuild the complete sentence together, focusing on a steady, reflective, late-night cadence. Navigating an unfamiliar social script requires us to balance deliberate linguistic preparation with an adaptable, calm presence.
Excellent. Let us ground this in a practical scenario. Imagine a postgraduate student named Elena who has just arrived in London. She enters an artisanal espresso bar where the menu is written in cryptic, minimalist shorthand. She wants a standard black coffee, but the options listed are filter, Americano, and batch brew. The line behind her is growing longer by the second.
Elena has two options here. She can either panic and order something entirely at random, or she can execute a diplomatic clarification. Instead of freezing, she looks the barista in the eye and says, "I am looking for a clean, straightforward filter coffee. What would you recommend today?"
That simple shift completely transforms the dynamic. By asking an open yet focused question, she shifts the burden of expertise back to the professional while maintaining her dignity. She steps out of the role of a flustered customer and into the role of a curious guest.
Exactly. Let us analyze the advanced language embedded in that interaction. Notice how we use expressions like catalyst for anxiety, tacit rules, subterranean atmosphere, and diplomatic clarification. When we talk about tacit rules, we mean unwritten guidelines that everyone in a group understands without explicit instruction. For instance, knowing where to wait for your drink after paying is a tacit rule of cafe culture.
Another precise term we used is friction, used metaphorically here to describe the psychological hesitation or awkwardness that slows down an interaction. Instead of saying it was awkward, saying there was noticeable social friction elevates your analysis to a C1, C2 level.
Consider also the phrase, to catch someone off guard. It implies being surprised by something unexpected, forcing an immediate, unstudied reaction. In professional and social settings, being caught off guard can test our linguistic agility, which is precisely why shadowing these structures is so transformative.
Moving beyond the surface of this cafe scenario, there are deeper implications for how we approach novel environments in general. Whether you are walking into an unfamiliar coffee shop, a high-level corporate board meeting, or an international academic symposium, the underlying psychological pattern remains identical.
We often overestimate the penalty for making a mistake. The fear of mispronouncing a menu item or misinterpreting a counter system is rarely about the coffee itself. It is a microcosm of our broader relationship with vulnerability. When we allow ourselves to be a novice in small settings, we build the resilience needed for much larger professional stages.
Here is our second golden sentence. Embracing the brief discomfort of being an outsider is often the precise threshold through which genuine cultural fluency is achieved.
That gives us something practical to carry forward. It reminds us that feeling slightly out of place is not a sign of failure. It is the absolute prerequisite for growth.
Let us practice this second sentence through targeted shadowing. Listen to the natural stress placement. First thought group. Embracing the brief discomfort of being an outsider. Focus on the soft emphasis on discomfort and outsider. Repeat. Embracing the brief discomfort of being an outsider. Second thought group. Dot is often the precise threshold. Repeat. Is often the precise threshold. Final thought group. Through which genuine cultural fluency is achieved. Repeat. Through which genuine cultural fluency is achieved. Now speak the full sentence with confidence and measured pace. Embracing the brief discomfort of being an outsider is often the precise threshold through which genuine cultural fluency is achieved.
Throughout our discussion, we have woven in several opportunities for you to articulate your own perspective. Consider this first reflection. How do you typically react when you encounter an unfamiliar social routine in a foreign language? A concise C1 model response might sound like, "Initially, I tend to observe the surroundings carefully to decode the implicit expectations before engaging directly."
Here is a second reflection for you to consider. Is it better to stick to a prescripted phrase or to improvise when ordering in an unfamiliar setting? A thoughtful model response could be, while a scripted opening provides initial stability, cultivating the ability to improvise allows for far more authentic and adaptive communication.
A third prompt to ponder. What subtle cues do you rely on to gauge the atmosphere of a new space? Consider this response model. I pay close attention to the pace of speech, body language, and spatial boundaries maintained by the regulars in that environment.
A fourth question for advanced practice. How can one respectfully challenge or clarify a misunderstanding with service staff without escalating tension? A refined response model is, I find that framing the issue through a polite, self-effacing query usually resolves the ambiguity while preserving mutual respect.
And a fifth prompt: in what ways does mastering minor everyday interactions impact your overall linguistic confidence? A strong C1 model response, consistently navigating small real-world exchanges, builds a cumulative sense of agency that translates directly into high-stakes professional contexts.
To apply this practical insight today, think of a specific formula you can use the next time you encounter an unfamiliar ordering system or menu item. Instead of retreating into silence, try using this structured approach. I am unfamiliar with your layout today. Could you point me toward your most popular option? This demonstrates both poise and linguistic elegance.
As we bring our late-night conversation to a close, let us synthesize what we have uncovered. Ordering at a cafe for the first time is far more than a routine errand. It is a miniature study in human sociology and communicative flexibility.
We have established that the anxiety surrounding these moments is largely internal, born from a desire to appear seamless and competent. Yet, true fluency does not require flawless execution. It lies in our capacity to handle minor friction with grace, diplomatic language, and self-assurance.
We hope tonight's discussion gives you both the linguistic tools and the mental space to step into unfamiliar environments with quiet confidence.
As the night grows late and the city outside turns quiet, we leave you with one final question to carry into your week. What is one small, unfamiliar social space you have been avoiding, and how might stepping into it transform your confidence?
Thank you for spending this reflective time with us on Late Night Insightful English. Until next time, keep listening, keep shadowing, and embrace the subtle art of stepping into the unknown. Good night.